let's talk about the molder. This is a little bit of wainscoting that Drew made. He actually made it in MDF because it's going to get painted. As you can see, it's pretty heavily decorated. There is a rabbit on the boards. Wainscoting is normally done like this. When they were using wainscoting for walls primarily, they realized that the boards were going to shrink some parts of the year, and so you would put the boards up rabbited like this, and then you would paint the insides of the rabbit a dark color that wouldn't show when the board had shrunk. Well, anyway, Drew made rabbits in the sides of the boards. Let's see if I can come in there. There you go. Show you that rabbit. And then in the front surfaces of the board, he made some 2 rows of beads and 1 row of flutes. This is a fairly standard wainscoting design. Lends a little bit of decoration to the wall and bounces the light around the room in a nice way. The wainscoting, of course, was made with the molder. And the molder is a lot like a router or a shaper in that it cuts decorative grooves and roundovers and other shapes into the surface of the wood, or in this case MDF. The molder has 2 principal advantages over routers and shapers. The first one is obvious here from this wainscoting, in that you can cut a decoration in the middle of the face of a board. This decoration would be extremely hard to do on a router, almost impossible on a shaper. The other one is that the molder leaves a much smoother cut than either a router or a shaper. Here's a molder head all set up, and as you can see, there's about a 5-inch diameter here. The molder head itself is 4, and at least another 1/2 inch added on for each of these cutters that stick out. So that's a 5-inch cutting diameter that this has. That's much bigger than a 1/2 inch router cutter or a 1.5 inch shaper. As a result, because of this, when this cuts the wood in a rotary fashion, it leaves a much longer and gentler slope. So the distance between mill marks is greatly increased, and the mill marks themselves aren't as prominent. For those of you who wonder what a mill mark is the crest of the scalps made by a rotary cutter. They're often very uniform, and they will absolutely ruin a finish if you don't remove them. Right there where the wood comes to that crest is a lot of end grain. End grain soaks up more finish than the long grain, which is in the troughs of the mill marks, and consequently it gets darker, so that by applying a finish you're just actually telegraphing the mill marks to anybody who views the wood. You need to scrape them down or sand them down, somehow get them smooth. So with a molder, there's a lot less finishing work to do. For those people who actually manufacture molders are preferred. Simply because it does produce a smoother cut and one with less work to do to get it to a finished product. I should, after telling you the advantages, I should tell you an important disadvantage, and that is that the molders are only for straight cuts. You cannot. It cuts horizontally on the same plane as a table saw. In other words, the axis of rotation is horizontal. You're running the board over it. being supported by the table, there's no way that you can actually follow the curved edge or a circular tabletop with this. This is not the tool for that job. My molder consists of several parts. You have an arbor on which is mounted the molding head, okay, which is this heavy round block of metal, nicely balanced. And inside this molding head, you mount molding knives of various shapes. Here's a crown molding shape, an OG and a bead. This is the 3 bead cutter that Drew used. 3 beads. We're going to mount this one in this molding head. I've got some roundovers, some noses, flutes, all sorts of different shapes. They come in as many different shapes, if not more, than routers and shaper cutters. The knives mount in. One other part. I almost forgot this one. This is the table insert. Very important. If you don't put the table insert in, it's not going to work, folks. The table insert is where the molder sticks up through, of course. I'm going to put the knives in this one so you can watch me load some knives. But I want to show you how they're fit in there. This is the little Allen screw that I've removed. It has a little nipple on the end, which pushes against a teeny tiny little, well, it's not that teeny tiny, it's about 1/4 of an inch in diameter, a little ball bearing there. That ball bearing rests in that hole, or counterbore right there, pushes the knife down and against the end of the slot so that it can't possibly move one way or the other, and automatically centers the knife in the slot so that they're all aligned. Let me put that before I lose it. As you guys know, I am prone to dropping things. Let me put that back in there before I do that. Now, those of you who are unfamiliar with using these molders may not realize that you really have to back that bolt out quite a ways before that ball bearing is down there low enough to get the knife in the molding head. There we go. Get it in the molding head, get it roughly in center, and then tighten the screw until you feel the ball bearing engage. There we go. Let the ball bearing take the knife where it wants to and tighten down. Okay. I'm going to look through here, make sure my ball bearing is below the surface. It is. Do the same thing here. Okay. I have to watch me do this one more time. Okay. Now let me we're going to put the arbor on the headstock. And the lower saw guard, of course. Like any shaping tools, molders make a miserable amount of sawdust, and since I'm going to be cutting MDF, it's really going to be a fine powder. MDF is a wonderful material. It really shapes nicely, but man, is it dusty? Okay. Now, put the molder on. Now if you do what I just did here, putting the molder on without the spacing washer on the arbor, the knives in the molder are going to rub up against the spring backplate of the dust collector. So put this spacer on. Remember, the molding head turns you, the knife should be angled towards you. Then, this is important. You want to put this little lock washer on here that has a little tang there so that the nut can't back off. Put that on, and then the nut. There we go. You know, there are so many operations where you need two of these Shopsmith wrenches, and this is one of them. I should really have two of them if you don't. Okay, almost there. Now, let's, since I've got the table set where Drew's got the camera set, I'm going to move the headstock in instead of the table over. Lock the table down. Thumb down. And once again, folks, he forgets. My goodness, how many times I've done this is forget to adjust the saw guard. You know, I ought to have a little buzzer warnings. There we go. Okay, now, as that's rotating, we want that the molder to come just above the surface there. Now, I want this is a bead, and I want the bottom of the bead to scrape here. Now, the neat thing about this Allen wrench is it has a point. It's hexagonal, right? And the point of the hexagon, when you lay this down like this, the point of the hexagon faces up and down. So I can put this right here in this bead. Okay, see that? It just catches. That's right there. It's just shaving the bottom of the bead. So that's where I want to make this cut. If I wanted to make it a little deeper, the bead would be in the bottom of the the whole grooves, or the set of beads would be set down in a little channel. I don't want that. I want the bead to be perfectly round. I don't want it flat on top of it, but I do want it to be just below the surface of the wood. So that's about right there where I want it. I will make a test cut, of course, but for right now, I have got over on the other side, of the table, I have got a stop collar on the table leg. I am going to lower that stop collar to where I have got this set right here, so I can duplicate this setting. Remember, if I go from these beads to the flutes that I want to cut, I want them all to be at the same level, and that will preserve that. It also is sometimes a good idea to take these cuts, especially in hardwood, to take these cuts like you do a router, just a little bit deeper with each pass, so that the stop collar will help you end up at the same level each time. So let me go drop that stop collar. Blow away the sawdust. There we go. Now, get rid of some of the flotsam and jetsam that's accumulated here. I'm going to need to guide this against my fence. You really cannot make unguided cuts on the molder. So let me measure how far in from the edge. Oh, there go the glasses. Measure how far in from the edge Drew put these 3 beads. Okay, looks like 3/8 of an inch. So I'll set up the fence so that it's 3/8 of an inch away from the side of the beads. Lock it down. Let's make a cut. Okay, now I'm probably just hitting a piece of the okay. It's just rubbing, just barely rubbing on the plastic guard. It will be a little noisy, but it won't be too bad. Obviously too slow. Thanks, Drew. Okay, let's I ran that up. I see the problem. Okay, guys. Violated my own rule here. Okay. This happens from time to time. I got so into this presentation that I forgot my 5-point check. I do every time I set up, I try to do a checklist where I go in a circle around here and check. Okay, first, the table tilt lock. It's tight. Okay, go down here to the carriage lock. It wasn't tight. That's what caused that racket that you just heard. Okay, table height lock is not tight enough. I'm glad I checked it. Carriage lock is on. Wheel lock was not on. All right. Okay. Out of let's see, that I scored 40% on that test. That's pretty bad. So let's hope that this run is better. What's this? Okay. You're going to have to come up with that sound effect. Yeah, I know, Katie. I'm a bad woodworker. Bad woodworker. Yes. Don't you roll up that newspaper. Okay. Okay. Still have, I want to find out where that vibration is coming from before I go any further, but I have a feeling it's just the plastic that is, let's try it again. Let's see if, let me push this, the plastic collector out. I might have gotten it a little close. nice and round. If I put a straight edge on these, they're maybe a 1/16 of an inch below the surface. That might be a little deep. I probably would raise the table just a hair, but they're certainly okay like they are. You do have to run this pretty fast in order to get a smooth cut. I'm running at about speed S right now, and that may be a little faster than people would ordinarily run the molder, but as I said, the cut gets smoother. You have to find a place where it's comfortable. The machine will vibrate more than you're used to, but you don't want to take it to the point where it sounds like it's about to come apart. The vibrations are normal. Those little sounds that we were experiencing where it was hitting the saw guard, those aren't. Those are usually an indication that something is going wrong, like you just saw, like a very stupid woodworker forgetting to tighten down the carriage lock. Let's go for the next bead, and I will show you how to do this, how you might do this in steps. This bead is about 3/4 of an inch in from the other side, so I'm going to move the fence about right there. Now, we're going to raise the table very slightly, and we're just going to take this step at a time. This, I think you'll find, will be less scary for those of you who aren't used to all the racket that this thing makes. Drop that table down a hair and do the same thing over again. And now we'll drop it down to the stop collar. Let's see, I've got a close-up on this. Yeah, there we go. That is the bead. That is the bead that I have cut. That Drew's gonna raise that. Okay. This is the bead that I cut first with 1 pass. This is the bead that I cut with 3 passes. There isn't a lot of difference. Although I can tell you that in using this thing, I use considerably less effort and considerably less concentration in doing the one that I just cut, where I cut it in 3 passes. You're not because I wasn't removing as much stock at once. There wasn't the resistance, there wasn't the danger of kickback. There were a couple of things that I didn't have to keep my fingers crossed that wouldn't happen. It is a different machine than most of us are used to using, but it does a very nice job. Both of these cuts are very smooth. Unfortunately, we don't have the resolution to show you. The one that I cut in 3 passes is modestly, and I stress that, modestly smoother than the one that I cut in 1 pass. Now, let me show you something really, really neat about this. You know, you've made these cuts, okay, and you have to get them to smooth. And of course, you can sand or you can scrape. You have a ready-made scraper. That cool? So you can scrape the mill marks off simply using the knife itself as a scraper. There we go. Got it? Good follow, Drew. Yeah. You don't even have to do it that much, but it does work pretty well. One other nice thing about the scraper is that they're very easy to sharpen, and you probably should do this before you scrape with it anyway. All you do to sharpen these knives is take a stone. This is some white Arkansas. Let me put a little bit more oil on that, and you just simply rub the back, not the front, the back. Just touch it up. What you want is you want to get a nice even shine. So you know that scratch pattern. Well, that looks pretty good. There we go. Edge is restored at this point. This is sometimes also a good idea to do if you're before you make the cuts. Okay. Now, oh yeah. Now we're really. You can even hear the difference. Hey folks, that's it for molding. Take a little break here and let's go on to installing a lift assist.